From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, y'all. I'm John.
Hi, y'all are. KJ Rob here hanging out with you on a Monday.
Yeah, such a great Monday. Had a good weekend. How about you, Rob?
Had a great weekend. I got to take the old yak out yesterday at a lake I'm going to fish in the near future, and did pretty good.
Nice. So tonight we have a very special guest on. We're going to welcome Rhonda Pitts. She's a passionate angler who's breaking the barriers, not just in the female side of fishing, but just in the co-angler side as well. Please tune in as she shares her journey and some of the lessons she's learned, and hopefully you can pick something out of this to get her or to get yourself in the game. Welcome, Rhonda.
Hi, guys. How are y'all today?
Not too bad, thank you. Yourself?
You're good.
Doing well. Thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure's ours. And she's a Pan American angler. So
Yes.
hats off to that. I mean, that's an honor in itself.
Gold medal.
Yes, yep. It's so much fun to go up to New Brunswick and go get to and, just be there and be a part of everything. And the fishing was a bonus. So, yeah, that was such a huge honor.
Nice. For the 2 or 3 people who don't know who you are, that are regulars on this show, do you mind giving us a rundown of who you are and what makes you so great?
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm Rhonda Pitts. I'm from Arkansas, and I fish with the East Texas Lady Anglers on a regular. I fished the LBAA championship last year. I qualified through the East Texas Lady Anglers. Also last year, I was on the Team USA for the Pan Am tournament. We got to go to Canada and we won gold. And we beat the Canadians by 13 pounds on their own water. So that was awesome. So this year, I'm still with the East Texas Lady Anglers. We have a tournament on Saturday on Toledo Bend that I'm really, really looking forward to. And next month, I will be fishing in Ohio on Lake Erie for the Bass Nation National Qualifier that I am super, super excited to get to go and do. And I want to thank Trish McGraw with Fish Her for the invitation to come up, and I'm going to get to stay with her for that week, and we're going to get to do a lot of fishing together, and it's going to be a great time. We're really looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Just do me a favor and don't throw the shaky head.
I have a feeling if I'm going to be in the boat with Trish, we're going to do a shaky head.
You can guarantee that.
Yeah, there might be a little chance.
Just a small. I did see where Yamamoto has come out with it's like a 375 Slinko. That's like a shaky head worm.
Yep.
I'm interested to see that and play with that. That shorter package might really be the deal.
Nice.
Absolutely.
And especially if you've got some finicky fish.
They're not finicky up here. They just eat. they have to eat because their growing season isn't as long.
Right.
Makes sense.
So they have to eat more up here in the shorter period of time. That sounds good, but it's not always true. I'll let you start off with the questions, Rob.
Okay, sure. Now, how's your season going so far? Have you? I know you fished a few tournaments. I said the East Tennessee or East Texas. Yeah. How's your season going so far?
Well, the first 2 tournaments, I caught a lot of fish, but they weren't the right ones. So last tournament at Rayburn was the first time I weighed fish, but I came in 3rd. So, I can't complain about that. Now, the last time we were on Toledo Bend, I lost a double digit about 20 minutes before weigh-in. And it was not pretty. I was extremely sad and upset that day.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So we had a new angler join us earlier this month or last month, and for Rayburn, and I had seen her on the Toledo Bend page where she had weighed in a double digit and got the replica and the share lunker thing, the whole gamut. And we were talking, and she caught that fish exactly where I lost the one. So
Oh,
I am pretty sure she caught the fish I didn't. So I know it was definitely a 10-pounder. I think like
wow.
37 or something like that. But yeah. So Saturday, if it's 10 inches, it's probably going to go flying over the boat when I set the hook.
I don't blame you one bit.
Because I am not going to lose one for the lack of a hook set,
Yep. Then you got to calm your hook set down to go fish up north.
Yes. I'll have to calm it down, go fish up north. Because smallmouth, they don't like for you to yank on them that hard. Although some of them, the older ones that eat a lot of crawfish and stuff like that, they've got really hard mouths.
Yeah.
You can crack on them just like you can a largemouth. So, it's an interesting dynamic, and you just kind of have to know what the forage is and what they're doing, so you know what to do.
Absolutely. But yeah, I feel your pain because my last BFL I finished 10th on. I had a 4 to 5 pound class fish on a drop shot with like 5 minutes to go. Come to the top, and he was largemouth, but he did like a cartwheel. He come up and like, as soon as he did that, hook went bing. I was like,
Yeah,
there went my top 5. But
yeah.
I still.
I would have won that day with that one fish. I would have
Oh
pulled
yeah.
the bob and won with that one fish. So, and she did the exact same thing. That's how I knew she was a double digit, because she came up and showed herself. And
Yep.
and when she did that and did her little dance across the top of the water, she just spit right back at me.
Oof.
That
Ow.
was kind of rude of her, by the way. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yes, it was. And I will have to say that, fire trucks and ships landed all over Toledo Bend that day. I think some boats on the other side of the bridge actually left after I got through.
I'll see him do that.
So, they didn't know what that crazy woman on the other side had done, but let's get away from that. So, and then the funny thing is it drew some anglers in. They were like, I want to go over there and see what she just lost, so.
Yeah. That's frustrating. I mean, I've never lost a fish that was under 7 pounds. So.
Yeah. I mean, it was extremely frustrating. So, because I knew, I was like, I'm going to get, oh God, free replica, it's another share lunker, and I knew that would win the tournament, if not second place with just one fish. And, when she came off, I was literally heartbroken.
Well, I did that. It wasn't a double digit. It was on Oneida Lake years and years ago, and I was fishing with a local hammer, and I dropped. My line broke. I had a 100-pound Power Pro, and the line broke, and he turns around. He said, "That's the biggest fish I've ever seen on this lake."
Oh,
which
wow.
kind of stung a little bit. Then when he said you lost the tournament on that fish.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
But nothing like a double punch to the gut.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
well, that day it was cool. It was what was it? March. I think it was March. Yeah. And so it was cloudy and it was still kind of cool. And Sherry and I, it was Sherry Spivey and I, we were actually on our way back in to weigh in. And we come under this bridge, and I saw that concrete all, up on the bank. And I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "Let's try this." Or she said it, one of us, and it was like, "Let's try that concrete because they may be up there warming up." Right. And yeah, they were up there warming up. So,
ouch.
Got one comment here from someone you may have heard of, Jen Nolan.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jen.
So, as a co-angler, just if I was just starting out, what would be one or two pieces of advice you would give me?
Fish your strengths. Know what your strengths are. Fish your strengths. Don't be afraid to tie a Texas rig plastic on and just wear it out all day. Especially if that's what you're comfortable with. Like I said, if you fish your strengths, you're going to be more prone to catch because you're going to be confident in what you're doing. And, a lot of times, it's like Gerald Spindle says, that PMA, it plays a big part of a day on the water when you're turning.
Yeah.
So you got that confidence in that bait, then that's just going to help you feel more confident in, where you're throwing, what you're doing. And, it will help you catch more fish.
Yeah. And that's, I don't fish much outside of tournaments. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't throw the Ned rig very much, or that thing that one of our friends throws, the shaky head. Because I have no confidence in it.
Right.
But one of these days I'll figure that out. All right. We got another comment here. Fish here says, "There's our girl."
Hey Trish, we're talking about you.
And she says shaky head.
Yeah, if you fish south, you better have a shaky head.
Yeah.
But she's in Michigan.
I know.
I wouldn't consider that south unless you're in Canada.
Yeah, probably.
It works down here too, though.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. So, all right, let's get off of the shaky head thing. What's your favorite? What's your favorite technique?
My favorite techniques. Well, of course, I love a chatterbait because I've caught so many big fish on it. I caught my 8-pounder came on a chatterbait last year. That's what I lost the 10-pounder on this year.
Ooh.
So, it's a big fish catcher. With the one hook, it's a low odds bait, but I love it. I also like a wake bait. Top water wake bait in the morning, and that's what I caught my first fish on Rayburn, and my biggest fish. So to me, that's the wake bait went away for so many years, and Strike King's just now bringing them back out. Well, I've one of my sponsors is Clickbait Custom Lures, and that's CLIQUE, Clickbait. And Jason had some blanks of the king shads, and so he painted us up some of his blanks and sent them, and that's what I was fishing with. It was actually a clickbait king shad, and I believe Strike King calls them a wake shad.
Yep.
So I fished it so long. I fished it so long and so much that in tournament I knocked part of its bill off, so it's turning kind of sideways. So I did have a spare, so I did tie it on. I didn't catch anything on the spare, but I am rearmed and ready to go for Toledo Bend this Saturday. And I also like a plastic swim bait, so just a boob tail swim bait. And you can run that either on just a jig head or an underspin. Joe, my husband, and I went fishing on Christmas Day 2019 in South Arkansas on Lake Columbia. We caught 35 pounds and 5 fish on Christmas Day, and we were fishing a boob tail swim bait on an underspin, and we were just chasing a ball of shad around the lake, and we would be catching and catching and catching, and then all of a sudden we'd stop catching. We turn the graphs back on and go, okay, and we go find the shad ball, and then throw out there and count it down, and wham. So and on Christmas Day, what a great Christmas present that was.
Awesome.
And yes, I apologize. I see the message from Trisha. She's in Ohio, and not Michigan. As soon as I said Michigan, I knew I was going to get it.
Yep. Yeah, she'll keep you straight. She'll keep you
Well,
straight.
I just he's in Ohio, but I was going to let it slide.
No, I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong. After all, I am a husband and a man.
And you stand corrected. Stand corrected.
Yes,
That's what
yes,
the term is.
yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite body of water? And St. Lawrence River is not there.
Can I not say that? So actually, I have several favorite bodies of water. Mille Lacs has my heart, just because that's where I caught my first trip there, first day out, and I landed a 5-pounder. And if you hunt, you've heard of turkey riggers and buck riggers. I had a bass rigger that day. So yeah, I finally got that 5-pounder in that day, and that's how I got hooked. I mean, so yeah, so Mille Lacs has my heart, but Toledo Bend and Rayburn are becoming, they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's hard to beat those waters for largemouth anyway.
Yeah.
And I do love some Lake Erie. I've fished Lake Erie several times. Like I said, I've never fished it out of the Ohio area. I've always fished it out of Presque Isle, which is in Erie, Pennsylvania. So this is going to be a new experience next month, getting to go up there and fish that part of the lake.
Yeah, I understand that term that they're not allowing the shaky head. So. And Trisha says that's going to change next month. You'll have a new favorite fisher.
Oh.
I would not doubt that a bit.
All right.
Kind of wherever I am today, that's my favorite fishery.
There you go. Whatever's in front of you. There you go. Now you're talking.
I'm not really pleased.
Since this is our women's podcast, Women in Fishing, how would you say there's been a change in women fishing in the last 5 to 10 years? It seems like there's been a great improvement in quantity and quality.
Well, and really just a tremendous change happened. Actually started last year with the Bassmaster Her with Christine Fisher, Anastasia Patterson, and Maggie Jo Carcello. And I think since that's come about and women are more in the forefront, and sad to say, but with Pam Martin Wells and her passing recently, Bassmaster has put out several videos of Pam fishing the Classic and the Bassmaster tournaments. And so it's kind of put women in a limelight that they've never been in before. And therefore, when you go to a sponsor and you say, I fish X, Y, and Z tournaments, they actually kind of listen to you a little bit more than they did. I remember my first experience even trying to talk to bait manufacturers or rod manufacturers. I literally have gotten laughed at, and they just kind of pat you on the head and send you on your way. But, thanks to those, Melissa Mize and her mom and, Pam Martin Wells and Linda Condor and Sue Crochet. And I mean, the list just goes on and on and on with the Bassin Gals, and it's coming back around. And, honestly, I hope Bassmaster takes the Bassmaster Her and recreates, they call it Bassin Gals. I don't care what they call it, but they need to create a tournament series to where women can go and compete on a higher level for a higher paycheck. And, help with the sponsorship, because that's the thing. We've got to be able to. We've got to have the money to go and do this, and it's hard to work and have a family and have money to spend to go and do this. And fishing is expensive.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, about the only thing I know that's more expensive is either racing cars or shooting guns.
been there, done that.
I don't know. Y'all tried. Drinking's a pretty expensive.
Well, that's
It can be.
It can be. Yeah, you're right. No, I agree with you. The financial aspect is huge because I mean, even with myself and I look at it like for me to fish our state federation, our state nation. I'm sorry. Most of the tournaments for me are 2 to 3 hours away.
yeah,
And
exactly.
then you have at least one night stay. You
Yeah.
travel there, the food, the entry fee, and all that, and the payouts aren't beneficial unless you win. I remember a couple of years ago, I finished 4th in the tournament. I think my check was $100.
Yeah.
Dang.
So yeah. All right,
Yep.
you got a couple more comments. We'll head up here.
All right. Oop. There we go.
Tricia says we should join Co-English Corner the Monday we're all together.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too.
I like it.
Yep. Just shoot us the date, and we'll get.
July 14th.
Oh, we're off that day. Actually,
Just kidding.
it is open.
Cool.
JT Pitts, your favorite is the hole. You've caught 100 a day several times over the years and had the lake to ourselves.
Well, that's true. I forgot about the hole. I was thinking public waters, but the hole is that's just what we call it. It's backwater off of the Arkansas River. And Joe and I will go and put the John boat in. All it's got on it is a trolling motor. And yeah, we have been known to catch 100 fish a day and nothing less than 2 pounds.
Wow.
In fact, we have caught brim on a 1.5 crankbait out of that place.
Ooh. Stacked
So,
in there.
And my love for the chatterbait, that's where my love for the chatterbait comes from, guys. I will be honest with you. There's a cut in the middle of the lake that I don't know. It's none of the lake is deep. Maybe 10 feet is the deepest part of the whole lake. But there's a cut right in the middle through the cypress trees because it's just loaded with cypress trees.
Okay.
And it's a little deeper right through there. It's like a channel. And I had a Barker's Magic chatterbait and started throwing that thing that day. And luckily we had 2 in the boat because it wasn't long and somebody else had to have one, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, did we have another one of those? And he and I, for probably 2 to 3 weekends, Saturday and Sunday, we would go both days. 2 to 3 weekends, we would go and fish that cut through there and catch bass after bass after bass after bass. And I swear, I really don't think any of them was less than 3 pounds. We caught some, multiple 5-pound fish those days. And that place is it's just super special. You can go and sit on the lake. You're the only one there. And you've got the bald eagle flying over and the barn owl flying over. In the fall and wintertime, you've got the geese and the ducks flying over. And, the alligator, you get to watch the alligator. The alligator's longer than our John boat. So,
No, thank you.
We've got redbirds that follow us around the lake. And I mean, it is a super, super special place.
I wasn't trying to be totally rude. But I don't know if you can.
There you go.
14 July.
Oh,
Trisha, Angie, and Rhonda.
There you
Cool.
go.
So
All-star lineup.
I wanted to make sure I put that in stuff because I would forget because I'm old. So Trisha, yes, you are committed on the 14th. So
she had a good idea.
That's
Yes.
a great idea.
she's come up with a lot of good ideas. So what are you most excited about to fish that Bass Nation Championship?
Well, for one, it's Lake Erie, and I mean, how can you not love that? Two, I'm going to get to go hang out with, Trisha and Angie Copus, and how can you not love that? And, I'm just going to get to spend a week up there, and we're going to, do the pre-fish thing, and then we're going to do the tournament. And, we're just hoping that the Fish Her girls, we come out on top and do a good showing. And I mean, it's a huge opportunity. Just to fish something that's, a little more high profile.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of history on that lake. So that's well said.
Yeah.
All right, your turn, sir.
All right. Now, on Texas, I know it's been weird. I know I got some dealers down there, and like one side of Texas is in flood, the other side's in a drought. So how's it been kind of your area? Has it kind of been in between, or?
Well, like I said, when we were on Rayburn a couple of weeks ago, it was actually a couple of feet low. We've gotten tons of rain through here, but they're about 5 hours away from us. But I really think they were drawing off of the lake through the dam and running, generating power. So I believe that was the reason that it was pulling down. Everywhere else around here, and I haven't really even looked to see how Toledo Bend is right now. But most everything in the tri-state area of Arkansas is at least a foot or two high. I think Bull Shoals, I don't know if it topped out at 15, but I know it was up to 15 feet high.
Wow. Yeah, Kentucky's like that. Like I said, I fished over the weekend, and the lake I was at, it was close. It was so high, the water was over the boat launch in the parking lot, and it's still like 10, 12 foot high. So, we've had a ton of rain here as well.
Yeah, I come over the Washita River coming back from work every day, and you got to look, and it's like, well, it's moving hard, and I mean, it was moving and muddy, and it's up, but it's not quite as high as it has been. So, maybe if we can, get a couple of dry weeks, everything will, kind of level out. But, the lakes around here are fishing really good right now. Washita's fishing really good. DeGray's fishing really good. So, I don't think it's really hurt the fishing.
Cool.
Nice.
And like I said, Arkansas, I think it's kind of underrated because you had George Cochran and a bunch of great anglers come from that area. So hats off to you guys. You've got a lot of great anglers in the great area.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Mark Rose and Mark Davis, Spencer Sheffield, Larry Nixon, the general, Joey Fuentes. He's tall, and I mean, we really, really do have good anglers, but they've got really good water to practice on. So, and they can get just about anything, any type of lake that they want, just right here in the state. It might take them a couple hours to drive there, but we've got the glacial lakes up north with Table Rock and Bull Shoals, and then Greer's Ferry is super deep, so you can do that really super deep fishing that you would do like in a Great Lakes. You could go and do that. And then Lake Washita is a super fishery. It's got big fish in it. DeGray is coming back for the anglers. They pulled all the grass out of DeGray, but the grass is coming back and the fish are growing. And the fish are growing. Yeah, they're growing really, really fast. There's been a 12-pounder caught out of DeGray this year. So, that's been unheard of in the years past. So, I mean, we've got some really, really good waters here. So, and then there's always Dardanelle. Everybody talks about Darty. And it's right off of the Arkansas River also. So, and then the Arkansas River itself, when you can get on it, when it's not Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg, then,
Yeah.
And lately. But there's really, really good fishing. Rick Clunn back in the 80s when they had the Classic in Pine Bluff, he had 100 pounds of fish and, in the 3-day tournament. So, he wore them out most times because I think they fished it back-to-back years. He won both years. So, yeah, we've got some really good fisheries here.
Oh, absolutely. And then go back to your point about ladies. You see an increase on I see a lot more girls in the BFLs I fish, which is great. But I think the high school programs and the college programs has helped a lot too. Kind of a feeder system, and so I think that's been a great thing for the young ladies here the last few years.
Absolutely, because it introduces them to it young. So, if you can get them hooked when they're young, you can just about hold on to them. And then, with social media and YouTube and all of the stuff that, Christine Fisher and Maggie Joe and, all of those ladies, all of that content they put out of catching fish, being in tournaments, and even if it is on a kayak, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's also another way for them to get into it. That's not quite as expensive as buying a bass boat. And that's something new that's only come around in the last, 3-4 years, Rob, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I just kind of got into it last summer, and I love it. I mean, I could throw it back in my truck and be at the local lake in like 5 minutes. So I mean, it's great to get out there.
Well, and that's the other thing, a kayak is something a woman can handle.
Oh yeah.
You can put as much gear on it as you want to and make it as heavy as you want to, but you can also not have to do that and make it as, light enough so you can actually, manhandle it if you have to.
Absolutely. And they're getting like longer and lighter. I mean, and it's amazing all the innovations and the construction of the kayaks. I mean, it's constantly evolving and changing.
Right. And now, a lot of them even come with trailers now. So,
oh yeah.
So that makes it even easier to load and unload and, to get your stuff in and out of the water. And, it's just so much more accessible for people now, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we saw that and when COVID was out, because I remember going to local lake and there was kayaks all the way across the lake, and you see mom, dad, kids, all of them had a kayak. And I think it's cool. I mean, but I think that opened up the kayak world to a lot of new anglers and new kayakers.
Yeah, and like I said, not everybody can afford, a $70,000 to $100,000 boat, but you can go pick up a kayak for a fraction of that. And that's the other thing. You don't have to have, the best $1,000, rod and reel combination. And you don't have to have the, $400 or $500 swim bait to go and catch fish. You can go to Walmart and pick up a combo, pick up a bag of baits and some line, and you can go fishing. You can put much or as little into it.
Oh, absolutely. And I said so many little local lakes. I know around here they got like no wake lakes where you can run a boat, big boat, but you can't go on pad or nothing. So it makes it perfect for small boats, kayaks, canoes, whatnot.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of lakes up here in New York. The smaller ones, they're electric only.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, which makes it nice. All right, we got a couple more comments we'll get to real quick. Greg Bogan from, I believe he's Ohio.
All right.
Saying hello.
Hey there.
And, Greg says, woman just won major tourney last month. Yep.
Yeah, Miss Christine Fisher, a good friend of ours, and been on the show.
I'm going to brag a little bit, but we've had a lot of accomplished anglers on our show.
Yeah, and after the show, they win or do real good. So maybe it's we share a little mojo, as they say in Louisiana.
I'll take
All right.
And
Anna Banks. Oh, Anna Banks says congratulations on the tournament win.
All right.
And so true. That's so true. Even here.
Cool.
Yep. Kayaking. Greg Kayaks says, Greg, they're becoming more popular as time goes on.
Yes, they are.
So you agree with Greg, and it's amazing how some guys trick it out. I mean, I see guys, and it's like, man, I never thought of that, and it's pretty cool. Some pretty cool modifications and add-ons to the kayak. So it's pretty neat. Go look at Yak Attack's catalog. It's amazing how much different accessories they got now.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy, and he has his kayak is tricked out with all the latest and the greatest, and it's around 15 grand.
Oh yeah, don't take long.
No,
Like,
it doesn't.
wow.
I said you just start out on like Miss Rhonda was saying, you can start out bare bones, just rod and reel, and go catch them and have fun. I mean, and then
Yeah.
kind of build up piece by. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of doing piece by piece. I'm like Johnny Cash building a Cadillac. I'm doing it one piece at a time.
There you go. Well, and
Yeah.
Bob, that's a really great way to learn also.
Oh yeah.
Because, as you're building and adding a piece, what you're doing is you're learning the equipment that you have right now before you add a second piece. Because if you add all of that at one time, it can be overwhelming.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot to learn. If you've got all of the electronics and, because I know that's how, we did it even in our boat. We got the down and the side scan. Well, then we added the 360 on it and we learned how to do that. Now we've got the, FFS, but, but we're waiting and learning, because the FFS is a learning curve. And, you really have to spend a lot of time that I don't have in the boat to be able to learn how to do all of that. So yeah, I mean, that's really a good way to do it because, like I said, as you add a piece, you learn it before you add the next piece. So you're not going backwards in what you keep going forward that way.
Absolutely. I just got a little simple graph, and I mean it just tells me how to depth, and it'll show me some contours, and so I'm starting out simple. I'm doing like I said. I'm gonna eventually build up, but I'm learning everything I can on this little small graph, and it's been a good one. So a lot of good information.
I remember 10 years ago when FFS stood for Fat Free Shed.
Yeah, not long ago. Not long ago. And got a quick couple comments here real quick.
Greg says he lived in Arkansas for a year and enjoyed fishing there himself.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful country out there for sure.
Yeah, and he comes back with common man can't afford a bass boat anymore.
Yeah, it's getting tough.
It's expensive. It really is.
Yes.
It is.
And Anna says she'll be enjoying bank fishing in a while because she can't buy a boat anytime soon. But bank fishing is fun and enjoyable. See what we can accomplish.
Absolutely. I did it for a long time. It's good exercise. Go hiking around, find new trails, a new way to get to the lake.
Yep. Well, and some of the smaller rivers and streams you can do that off of.
Oh yeah. There was a trail in Tennessee. Yeah, there's a trail in Tennessee out by Lenore City. It was like a 2-mile trail, and it kind of went around the lake. It was a Kiwanis Club made it, and it had a couple little cuts and streams. And my youngest son used to go hiking and fishing through there, and it's well maintained trail, and it had benches. You could like sit by the lake and watch the boats go by. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Excuse me. Is it your turn or my turn, Rob?
Your turn.
Oh, okay. Since you're going to be fishing smallmouth waters and behind somebody, what are some of the techniques that you like to use against or with the boater that has the forward-facing sonar running?
So basically what I'm going to do is cover water. I'm going to do some fan casting and I'm going to cover water. And I even though I'm covering water, I may not do that very fast.
Yeah.
I may slow way down, and really pick apart some stuff, especially if they're not on the trolling motor at 900, where you can actually pick apart that stuff. And, I have picked up fishing on the opposite side of the boat. You've got someone up front, they're fishing off to the right. I may just fish off to the left. I may fish on the opposite side of the boat. I know BFL that I did, my very first tournament, actually. Boater pulled up in a cove, and he was nose in on that dock boy. I mean, he was a boater. I mean, I'm not trying to say anything bad. You know, he was a good boater throughout the day. But this particular dock, he nosed in on it. Well, I just picked up my Carolina rig and threw that sucker out in the middle of the creek channel, and I caught a fish. He didn't catch a fish off the dock, but I caught it out of the middle of my Carolina rig. So, you know, you just you can't let that get in your head. You know, oh, they're on FFS. They're going to catch all the fish. They're going to catch all the fish. They can see all the fish. Well, you know, just because you can see them don't mean you make them bite.
Right.
Yep.
And what I learned from Mr. Hank Parker fishing with him up on the St. Lawrence River, fish can feel the ping.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're up there and they've got that sucker turned on and they've got their ping up real high, so you know it's a really good picture and all that, and they're fishing in pretty shallow water, I ain't worried about it at all because I'm probably gonna pick up more fish than they are.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've said on here several times, I'd rather have somebody using FFS and know there's fish than not using it and wish there was a fish.
Yeah.
Because, you know, especially up here, smallmouth don't live one to a mile.
Yes.
There's usually groups of them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
All right, you turn it on.
Okay. And everything I've done, you know, at first I kind of got spun out. I was with a scoper and I was like, what I do? And like you, I'd get close to bank, heave out a Carolina rig, but a scrounger head, I've done really good on scrounger head. Like if they're doing, like you said, got the trolling motor on fast, throw your little scrounger head out there and retrieve it back fast. And I've had smallmouth come up from like 30, 40 foot, come straight up and eat my scrounger head. And then another thing I know Clay Milliken was talking about, he says, yeah, if you're a you know, and your guy's bringing a smallmouth, and you know, y'all have like 4 or 5 followers following it, drop your little drop shot down beside the boat, drop it down about 10 foot, and one of those followers will come by and grab it. So that's a couple quick little tips I've learned as well.
And Daniel's on tonight.
Yeah, our buddy Daniel.
Yeah, and I believe he's in Texas, right? He says, "What's up,
Think so.
guys? Hello, Rhonda. Loving the ladies in bass fishing. We are too. I mean,
Daniel?
there's some of the best shows we have.
Oh, absolutely.
The women. So yeah, we appreciate it, and we love enjoying and learning from them.
Oh, absolutely. Learn something every Monday. That's for dang sure.
That is. I mean, I've learned how to fish a frog.
Yep.
I was told how to fish a shaggy head. I'd yet to try it, but I was told
One of the best too.
Yeah. And
and then Greg makes a good point there.
Yep. Have a variety of poles set up. Topwater, Texas rig, crankbait.
Absolutely, man. Just keep that lure wet. You'll get them. Absolutely good point, man.
That's it.
Keep on grinding.
If you're starting to get spun out, throw your confidence bait. Everybody has one.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I don't know about your experience, but the scopers I've had lately will say, hey, I'm catching them 6 to 10 foot or 10 to 12, and they'll kind of tell you kind of where they're catching them. So
yeah, you know, if you get a really good boater that, you know, cares about what happens to the co-angler, because some of the boaters feel a responsibility to the co-angler that they want them to catch fish, and it also shows to their ability if their co-angler comes in with fish.
Yep.
Which, that's how I look at it. If you're a boater and your co-angler comes in with nothing and you come in with a bag, well, that tells me all I need to know about you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, you know, it's not always the boater's fault that somebody didn't come in with fish, but it's a pretty good indication of how the day went.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes it comes in the other way. You know, the co-angler comes in with all the fish and the boater doesn't have any. And so, you know, it's a telltale sign, you know, especially in the BFLs and the Bass Nations and those types of tournaments, you know, so when you get a really good boater, they'll say, okay, well, what we're going to do, we're going to go to this next spot and I'm going to throw a crankbait and we're going to be fishing, you know, 10 to 12 foot of water. So you may want to tie a deeper one on. And, you know, here's the color that I like. And you can choose to whether you want to do what they're doing or you can do something else.
Absolutely. And I've had boaters too, you know, I'm netting their fish. I'm being a good teammate. That's how I go into the tournament. Hey, me and the boater, we're a team. We're a team.
Exactly.
So anything you want. Hey, if I need net of fish for you, anything. And I noticed too at the end, if you don't have nothing, they'll say, "Hey, I'm gonna go back a few minutes earlier. We're gonna fish this cove, and there's always fish there, and you can get you a couple. Get you 2 or 3, or even a quick limit." So
Right.
I've noticed that lately.
Right. And too, if you ask, do you want me to net your fish? And if they say yeah, I say, well, how do you want me to do it? Do you want me to just hold the net in the water and you put the fish in the net, or do you want me to scoop for them? Because everybody's got their own preference, and that way you're not knocking their fish off, bumping it with the.
Yeah, I've learned I'll get low, like low to the boat, get kind of low down, and I'll have the net against the boat, and then when the fish comes up there, if you can tell when it's kind of tired out, if it's coming on the water, if he's bringing it straight in, and just scoop
Yeah.
it. So, but yeah, I've always liked having it flat against the boat where I'm not going to knock anything off till it comes around. It's how it is, ready to get netted or they're starting to tire out. So
I like the stab and poke method if they're being a jerk.
no, I feel bad.
No.
I like to also I've lucky I've not knocked anybody's fish off. So knock on wood.
I've knocked my own off within that.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, it's easy to do. It really is.
It is.
especially
Especially a smallmouth. Yeah, smallmouth, they go crazy.
we got a couple more comments. We'll
All right, let's
to.
see. Yep, here we go.
Nicole Abrams says, "Go girl."
Hey, Nicole.
JT Pitts, someone you might have heard of. Remember Pickwick? Don't be afraid to go finesse.
Yes. So he and I were fishing the Toyota Owners Tournament, and then the meeting the night before. We had the meeting, and Ott and Ike and Gerald, all the pros were up there, and they were giving their what I would do tomorrow.
Yep.
And when they were talking jerkbait, crankbait, this, that. And so Joe and I took out that morning and went down toward the dam, turned on the spot lock, and he was throwing a jerkbait. I was throwing a finicky rig or something. I forgot what it was. Anyway, so we got to looking at all the boats around us, and everybody was, they were working them rods, and it was, just fast as they could. And Joe goes, I'm going to try something. And so sure enough, we changed, slowed down, and we were the first team to come in with a limit.
Oh, wow.
We finished the tournament in first place. So,
nice.
and all of the pros, I would be jerk baiting, crank baiting, they were like, everything they were talking about was like, really fast and, fast retrieve. And so we just slowed it down and picked up those spinning rods. And he and I were the first ones to come in with a limit, finished 21st, got a check. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice.
It's a perfect day on the water when you can learn something and be successful with it.
Absolutely.
And make adjustment on the fly. Hats off. That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
and you got a good coach there.
Yeah, and as a co-angler, you have to be able to adjust.
Yep.
As I will take probably 7 or 8 rods with me to the tournament. And after the meeting, when I talk to my boater and we discuss what we're going to do, then I'm going to pare that down, and I try not to take more than 4 or 5 rods in the boat with me.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's about right.
Just so hard to manage when you get, that wad of rods, and it's like, well, what do I do with all of them? And then you're tripping over them, or somebody, you don't want to get one broken. And, I have learned 4 to 5 is the magic number.
Oh, absolutely. And you get less choices. You got 8, 9, 10. I've seen kids out there 10, 11 rods. I'm like, how do you know what you got so many choices? How do you, it's just too much.
It doesn't take me that long to retie. I can retie. But yeah, I'm not going to have 3 different topwater rods, and I'm not going to have, just stop and retie.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
usually bring 6 to 7. And I've been fishing. I mean, I fish in New York most of the time, and a lot of the waters are both largemouth and smallmouth. So I want to be ready for power and finesse.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. And sometimes I'll bring a spare reel just in case, if I have braid on a spinning rod and I'll have 6 pound test, if it gets real tough, like I said, and fish Ned rig or light drop shot, I just switch reels and be ready. So
Yep.
I've done that too.
all right, got a couple more comments, and we'll get into some of your sponsors. Greg says he might have a net too.
Greg,
No.
I finished second on the Ned rig in Ohio River. Just saying. Didn't want to throw it. Tried everything else: top water, spinner bait, crankbait. Put the net out, and I started getting bit. So, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
No net needed. Just swing them in.
It depends what you're fishing with. If you're on if you're on a treble hook, you might want to have a net. Just saying.
Nah.
Just
Greg's
saying.
laughing about that. And Daniel says, "Good point, Rhonda. I like to knock it off, especially the big fish."
Oh man, can't do that, man. They're too hard to catch.
And Nicole has everything straightened around and all set. She usually brings 3 rods.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I do in a kayak. I just have a handful, 3, and that's all I need. I can catch them with those 3.
Yeah. All right, Rhonda. It seems like we've been doing this for 10 minutes, but we're about 50, a little over 50 minutes in. JT says, carry Zebco 33 in plastic box and you'll catch it.
Yeah. Done that.
Yep.
Yep.
They still make the 33s. They're still around, and 202s. They're still around.
Yep. I think
I used to fish tournaments, local tournaments, and there was one guy. All he had was a Zebco 33.
He made it work.
I caught a lot of fish on a Zebco 33. I will not lie.
Yep.
Exactly. And he would have finished in the money just about every tournament he fished.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
That's called knowing your equipment.
Well, that goes back to you can spend as much or as little as you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And fish your strength. And if that's your strength, then use it.
That's what you got confidence in. Hey, let her rip.
Yep.
All right, Rhonda, let's talk about some of your sponsors.
Oh, you want me to go through the list?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I am sponsored by Luz and Seagar, Baheo Sunglasses, Gajo Baits out of upstate New York, Click Baits, like I said earlier, he's the one that painted my wake bait that I caught on last weekend or weekend before, whenever it was. Yolotech, Rapala, Woo, of course, Fish Her, and Slowtown Custom Lures is what got me started in my chatterbait.
Nice.
Good combination right there.
Yeah. We're going to have you on again and talk about the Yolotech products and cameras and stuff like that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind. I love my Yolotechs and the Power Stick. We actually put a 20-inch, which is a short Power Stick, in front of the console. And then we put a Y. So we've got a camera that faces forward and a camera that faces back. So when Joe and I are boat fishing, we've got a camera on both of us. So I can fish off the back deck. He can have the whole front deck. And, we catch the whole day that way.
Nice. Can't beat that. You got it all covered.
Yeah. It's super nice.
Nice.
And Greg says he used Eagle Claw Combo when he was young.
Yeah, still a lot of them out there.
Yep. And Carol Wells says, tuning in a little late. That's okay. You can always catch the replay on our YouTube channel at Co-Angler's Corner. And Rhonda's giving off some tips for being a co-angler and some kayak tips.
Absolutely.
So you might want to check that out. Anything else you have there, Rob?
No, it's always enjoy having you on, Rhonda, and best of luck on Erie. And I'm sure we'll be watching you gals and bringing some big fish and big limits. So hats off to you and good luck.
Well, thank you so much. I hope it turns out as well as I think it will.
I think it will.
I think what we ought to do, Rob, is make the weekend after, or the Monday after the 14th, which would be the 21st, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have those three girls on and talk about their tournament.
Absolutely. Sounds like a winner to me. I'm down.
All right. So
we can give you a pre-game and a post-game.
There you go. There you go. We'll have an All-Star Monday and All-Star Monday.
Yeah.
Yep. And Carol says, good luck, Rhonda.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, everybody,
Right.
Greg's been both a boater and a co-angler.
Good experience there.
Yes. And everybody take care. Have a great night. Be safe. If you're going to be out fishing, make sure you wear your life vest.
Yes.
Definitely.
Too many accidents going on lately and lives taken for not wearing life vests. So.
Yep.
And slow down if you're on the water. You don't have to get there in a hurry. Those fish will be there when you get there. But if you have an accident on the way, it's a whole lot of people going to miss you because you don't come home that day.
Absolutely.
Just because the boat goes 70 doesn't mean you have to go 70.
Exactly. Just like your car. If it says 120 on it or 150 on it, don't mean you have to drive that fast.
Now wait. Let's slow the brakes there, Rhonda. No, I'm joking. I agree with you. But,
yep.
Thank you, Ron. It's always a pleasure having you on and talking fishing. And one of these days, maybe we'll get you and your husband on and talk about fishing as a pair. So.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure being on with you guys and talking fishing. And like I said earlier, anytime, just, let me know and I'll be here with bells on.
All right. Well,
and thanks to JT for letting you come on. So appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Rhonda. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. All right, boss man.
All right, another great show. If y'all tuned in late, you need to go replay it. A lot of good tips from Miss Rhonda and a lot of good information. So do the replay and bring your notebooks and sharpen your pencils.
That's it. And she's just a joy to have on. Easy to talk to, easy to listen to, or talk with and listen to. You can't get a much better ambassador for the sport. Than
always positive. Always positive.
All right, folks. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Have a great night, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Peace out.